Okay, some food for thought. Of course, everyone's aware of the ice storm that they're really pushing out there, and it looks like they probably will make it happen, right? And the snow and the temperatures, all of that. Now, along with that, if you're paying attention right now, you're going to see a lot of chatter marks in the sky. Most of you know what that means. Radiation levels are high. EMFs, whatever you want to call them, boils down to radiation shaking the very molecules of your body. Now today, I don't know where they announced that anywhere, but I don't know that they have, okay? I don't know that they have. But the point here is, I can tell my body when the radiation levels are high. And sure enough, I checked them today and it won't even read, okay? It's that high. And I'm in Indiana. I've checked a few other states, and there is basically a magnetic storm is what they like to call it, right? It sounds kind of innocent. It's not whatsoever. It's radiation over the top of the state I'm in and some other states. I suggest you check the states you're in, because the levels are so high that it is quite ridiculous. All right. Now, with that said, with the storm itself also coming, which they'll tell you that also holds a basically a radiation level to it, this storm that's supposed to come, and it looks like it will. Sometimes they do these just to grab our energy, but sooner or later they're going to pull some real bad stuff on us, and this one probably is the start of some really bad things. It's not that we haven't had these big storms before. We have ice storms, really bad temperatures, wind chills, heavy snows. That's not the problem. They're doing this in combination of pushing this electromagnetic frequencies at us at a very high level. So pray on that. Rebuke it and be wise about it. Stay hydrated, okay? Stay hydrated, drink fluids, watch your electrolytes right now. That's a big one. And to touch on the sun, most of you probably are aware that the sun does not give us our heat. It gives us our light. Okay? I'm not going to go real deep into that, but what I want to point out is, those of you that have been around long enough to remember the older light bulbs, and this happens as well on the new ones, but not quite like it did on the old bulbs. Before they burn out, and remember, they used to be a soft yellow, if you remember back. Before they would burn out, they started turning brighter and brighter white until you couldn't hardly look at it. And I've been around them when they were turning bright and bright and brighter until they what? They, explode. This ties right into your iPet goat stuff. The iPet goat stuff. At the end of the one where the sun is pulsating and it's getting too bright, and you've got the Antichrist in his canoe with the fire in his eyes, okay? The iPet goat stuff was put out so that we would all dig into that at that specific time, because it wasn't for that specific time. All the iPet goat stuff in there is very much on the table right now. The ice, everywhere ice in that, especially the last one I seen. Well, yeah, I mean, that's why you have an ice storm coming. That's why the orange baboon is making a big deal out of having Greenland, because it's covered in 70 or 80% of ice. All right. What else? There was something else I wanted to say about that ice. Goodness. So anyway, the ice. Rebuke the ice. Okay, that's the antichrist, the anti-ice. We don't know how googled up this language is completely. Even those of us that have really looked at it phonetically for years and see what's going on. You know, it could be these actually the anti-ice. And that's why they need that to be called in. And I really could lean that way quite strongly, to be honest with you. Very much so. But either way, rebuke the antichrist, the anti-ice. And for those of you picking apart that iPet goat stuff, please leave some comments. Iron sharpens iron. Or even if you are not picking that apart, leave comments if you can, because we all need sharpened. And take care of one another, you know. I'm driving right now, and the sky is so tattered, has the the chatter marks all over it. It's obvious that we're being radiated. Even on the apps for your phones, I suggest you get one of those. Now, they're going to tell you they don't work. Here's the thing. They don't work real well when radiation isn't high. When radiation is high, they absolutely tell you that it is high, okay? It's not just when you put them next to a phone or a microwave or a piece of metal. You can go outside in your yard, anywhere, and you'll have high readings. Then you know what you got. You know what you're dealing with. One of the ways to tell that you're getting some radiation is a dry mouth. The nose will dry up. You just start to get inflammation. None of this is to scare you, but just to put some wisdom on the table. I never suggest taking things like Motrin or Tylenol, but for the last few months I have been trying to tell people to at least have those things on your shelf, okay? Because they will help immediately in some areas of this inflammation. This is what it all boils down to, is inflammation. That's what this is. 100%. Now make sure you can take these things. You know, I don't know what everyone takes. Sometimes you can't take any of those with the medicines that you have or are on. Okay? And don't ever take any of those without putting something in your stomach first, you know. That's a given, but some people might not remember that. So remember that. And as far as I can tell from my research, the Motrin is the most expensive compared to the generics, and there's a reason for that, okay? But if all you can get is generic, get those. And all of this, you know, a lot of times I get accused when I say these kind of things that, well, all you have to do is pray. Yes, pray. But also use wisdom, you know. If you was to break your arm or something and you needed to put a splint on it while you were healing, okay, from the Lord healing, putting a splint on it was not a bad thing. That is from the Lord as well. Wisdom is from the Lord. I don't care if it's the most minute detail. If it's wisdom, it is from our Lord. That does not mean that prayer is not first and foremost. In fact, pray for wisdom and discernment, right? Through the years, I can't tell you how many people have accused me of being basically kind of like a witch doctor or against Christ. I am absolutely not against the Lord whatsoever. But discernment is wisdom, and wisdom is discernment. In all things, right? In fact, it says those who are walking in line with the Lord will have discernment in all things, including wrapping your arm up. If something was to happen to your arm and you're praying and he's healing it, maybe you'll have a miracle instantly. You won't have to wrap it up. Without wisdom and not wrapping it up, if you understand what I'm trying to say here, and a lot of people won't open up to this, He is our great physician. He absolutely is. He's also our great giver of wisdom. All these things have to come into play and sit on the same table as common sense. Common sense. I'm not saying any of you here don't have that, but just that this world needs it. Common sense. You know, the initials of that, they initially do things. Common sense is C, what? S. Well, what is that when you break it down and look at it? Well, you have a C, and then the S is 19. C19? Initially, that's what that is. What a coincidence. There's, you know, that would be kind of like walking down a hallway with 1,000 locks with 1,000 different tumblers on it, and sitting down somewhere and making one single key that opened them all up. Okay? Really, that's how that works. They're counting on us not having common sense in these areas. And they're counting on us, you know, most of all, not having faith. We have authority calling the entire body, brothers and sisters, calling the entire body. That doesn't just mean auntie and uncle down at the church or whoever. When you pray, you call in the entire body. If you have a strong arm, I always say this, that's great, okay? But you need the rest of the body. You're not going to move a whole lot with just an arm laying there. No matter how strong it is, it's pretty much worthless when it comes down to functioning in a prayer that is consistently of the entire body. You need the pinky toe. We need to heal. Shoulders, torso, eyes, and all of our brothers and sisters out there are that and make up that.